Do you have any comment on that?
Yes, I do. Actually, what happened was there had been a lot of communication about this upcoming ruling by the USDA, and there were three very powerful companies in the organic market, Whole Foods Market, Stonyfield, and let's see, it was, I'm trying to remember
Organic
the third one. It's Organic Valley,
yeah.
I believe. And basically, what transpired was, as the communication was taking place about the USDA pushing for the commercialization of the alfalfa seed and production of GE alfalfa, they had decided, these companies, that instead of letting the ruling come out in the favor of the biotech companies and transnational companies like Monsanto, which would have accounted for no regulation whatsoever, they accepted some type of agreement that they would endorse or allow a coexistence situation with the GE alfalfa. And of course, that
Rick, we're gonna have to get right back to that. We have to take a quick break, and we'll come back to have you explain that situation between the organic food companies and the alfalfa ruling, because I know that's on a lot of people's mind right now. So you're listening to Food Integrity Now. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors. And we're back at Food Integrity Now. Today's topic is GMO alfalfa, and to help us today is our special guest, Rick Thomas of Holistic Nutrition for You. Before the break, Rick was describing the agreement between some of the large organic food companies and the biotech companies with the GMO alfalfa ruling. Rick, would you continue explaining what you were explaining?
Sure. The agreement was, basically, to simplify it, was that these large organic companies like Whole Foods Market and Stonyfield and Organic Valley, who control a large percentage of the organic food industry, the commercial food industry, that rather than just have the USDA rule on the commercial alfalfa, the GE alfalfa, being unregulated completely, they agreed to a cooperative agreement allowing the coexistence of GE alfalfa. And basically what that meant was that the USDA gave some type of promise or agreement that they would regulate the GE seeds. And there's some major inherent problems with that because everybody that's involved in research of genetically modified organisms and GE food knows that there's really no realistic distance that completely isolates two cross-pollinating crops 100% of the time. And the organic food integrity is really based on the concept of seed integrity. And if you have no seed integrity, then you compromise the organic food integrity. So it's very problematic. The fact is that there is a concept called gene flow, and that amounts to incorporating genes into the gene pool of one population from one or more other populations. And research studies have shown that this occurs every day in the farming and agriculture industry. There are studies that have shown that cross-pollinating can take place up to 12, 13 miles. And the USDA is talking about trying to have some regulation on those GE seeds and crops, and it's just it's inherently impossible given the research studies that have really produced a lot of good statistics on this subject.
And I'm sure, in addition to the lack of integrity with growing organic crops, that farmers are also worried about the possibility that now, especially those that grow organic alfalfa, that they're going to be sued by Monsanto because it's going to get contaminated, and Monsanto has a habit of bringing lawsuits against farmers who have any contamination in their fields.
Yes, that's a real good point. And if any of the listeners ever view the movie that was put out called Food Inc. or any of the books that I had spoken about earlier, put out by Jeffrey Smith and Institute of Responsible Technology, are all aware that that is correct, that Monsanto has a history of going after, in the form of lawsuits, organic farmers who innocently had their crops contaminated through insect pollination or wind or water or whatever the case may be. But I will add that one of the good things that came out of the ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, which was one of the few good things that came out of it, was that they acknowledged and they agreed that the concept of the contamination and the gene flow is real, and they left it open, basically telling the conventional and organic farmers that don't get involved in GE production of our crops, basically that they're open to civil suits against the biotech companies like Monsanto to recover costs in lost production and exports. And just to give you an example, there was a farmer that had about 9,000 acres of a crop that was not contaminated, which he thought was not contaminated, and he got a contract with a foreign country to export his crop, and the first export that had occurred was tested, and it was found that it was contaminated. So this foreign country said, basically, no, we can't accept that because of the contamination. And so this farmer is basically out a good portion of his livelihood. There are estimates that approximately $480 million a year can be lost in export revenue and other revenues with organic and conventional crops that are contaminated by GE seeds and crops.
Rick, this is Carol. I'm one of the hosts. I'm calling in over the phone. And
Hi,
I had
Carol.
a question. We had, last week on our show, we had a gentleman, Larry Jacobs, who owns a couple of organic farms in California. And he sued because he had some cross-contamination from a non-organic farm from pesticides, and he won an appellate court case. So I'm wondering if, these small wins, if it makes it more hopeful for organic farmers to have some sort of recourse. What's your take on that?